going down, my Doctor Who people? So I'm back with another video. This is going to be my thoughts on episode 3 of the Doctor Who Flux season, Once Upon a Time. Um, Very messy episode, this one. Normally I would do a good and bad, but what I think I'm going to do is just give you my overall thoughts of the episode. There's not, I don't know, there was some bad stuff. The bad stuff wasn't necessarily the content, it was that we were being bombarded with stuff every 10 seconds that your brain had to process. There was some things in the episode that I actually liked. Um, but yeah, I can't really do a good and bad review as I'm still trying to process what was good and what was bad. So I'll just give you my overall thoughts on the episode. First of all, I thought it looked great for the most part, as always. I thought the stuff in space looked fantastic. All the stuff that was destroyed by the Flux looked really good as well. I think the only bit that looked a bit janky was when Belle was hiding from the Daleks. The Daleks looked, a bit budget. Obviously, they were CGI because they were floating. And the sort of weird swarm that kind of takes people and erases them, I didn't think that looked great. I thought they've done much better effects sort of that ilk in this series. So those are the only two things that they didn't really let it down, but they didn't look quite as good as they should have. Obviously, we get to meet Belle. At the time, I was thinking not another character that I have to process in my brain and take their story into consideration. But luckily, she is obviously linked to Vinder, which is cool because I really like Vinder as a character. We haven't got much of his backstory before, but now obviously we get that. We know the reason why he was obviously put out so far on that assignment. All that bit was pretty cool. Most of the stuff going back in time, though, or forward in time, was a bit messy. I don't think we needed to necessarily change those locations every few seconds. Like I said, if you were looking at, I looked at my phone to write some notes, and by the time I looked up, I was like, I have no idea now what's happening. Like something's happening, but I'm not quite sure what it is. So there were some confusing bits in this episode, obviously, and there was a lot shoved in. Unfortunately, that really let the episode down. It was so hard cut. I've said this before with this series. They weren't letting anything breathe. You know, you could have cut out some of those scenes, kept them in one place, and it just would have made the flow go a lot better. The cutting was just too much in this episode. Your brain couldn't get a grip on one location, and once you did, before that, they were already gone. I know I could see what they were going for, but I don't think it worked quite on the way that older Chibs would have expected it to. But I did like to see, obviously we've got to see the Daleks, got to see the Cybermen. They're one of my favourites. They were still looking really, really cool. Obviously the Cybermen get killed by Belle, and then the line, I didn't like it at the time because I thought that's just so ridiculous. When she's like, the Cybermen asked her what's their mission, and she's like, love. And I was like, oh, Jesus. God. But in the episode, obviously, we find out that she's Vinder's partner or girlfriend, and she's pregnant, and she's looking for him, and obviously he wants to find her as well. So I actually thought that was pretty cool. The Belle Vinder thing is the bit I liked most about the episode. Obviously, we didn't get to see Dan being quite as jolly and doing stuff, even though he was running around a bit. Unfortunately, he didn't have as much emphasis on him like we did in the other episodes. It was okay. The Doctor was okay. She had a few good lines. I did like to see the fugitive Doctor. That was very cool. I think she's awesome. I don't like the Timeless Child storyline. Not a fan of it at all. But I do like the fugitive Doctor. I think she is. She's very cool. She really does feel like the Doctor, even more so than Jodie Whittaker in my eyes. So it was cool to see her go back into her memory, and now we obviously know how she knows Swarm and Azure from her past. Again, they didn't really have much to do in this episode. Their dialogue was really clunky, was not great at all. I love the way they look, but as characters, they haven't really been fleshed out quite as much as I would have hoped up to this point. I do like I said before in the last episode, they are really giving you a sense of scale in this season, which is something that they don't do often in Doctor Who. I liked when they were inside the sort of the time streams, and the Mori were huge and the Doctor was really small. I thought that was really, really good sense of scale. And I said before, I like that they're doing that in this series. Yeah, of course, the Weeping Angels. Yeah, it's just, I mean, there's so much. I'm trying to remember what happened. Weeping Angels in it again, just spruced out through little bits. Obviously, they're taking advantage of time being so messed up. And obviously, we see them in the next episode, but I shall get to that and give you my feelings about what's going to happen. The passengers store people within them. I thought that was very weird. I like the way that Azura and the Swarm just killed possibly thousands of people. I don't know if that's going to be rewritten or unwritten. Obviously, that was in the past, so it's just my brain's trying to catch up on what happened. I'm going to need to watch this episode again to process everything that happened. But overall, yeah, it was messy. It was messy. Like I said, there was bits of it that I liked, but it wasn't great. I thought after the first episode that I thought was meh, and then the last episode, which I quite liked, we've taken another dip again. Just too much going on. We need more. You know, this is only 6 episodes. So what you really need to do with a season like this is you need linear storytelling. You need to be able, you can have other things happening, but you can't take away from the central plot. And I think in this one, they obviously got across the damage that the Flux is doing, and I liked that. I liked when you saw Vinder's home world and it had been completely destroyed. But I don't think it's gelling with the story that they're telling you. The Flux is supposed to be a linear thing that's running all the way through it. More so in this episode, but everything around it was so messy, it all felt like a mess. So they really need to sort that out. Hopefully they do. They're not going to change it now, are they? It's already filmed. But I hope in the next few episodes that happens. And I don't want this to happen, but I think it might. The next one looks like another standalone episode where we might get some answers, but possibly more questions. And if you're having only 6 episodes, I don't want the last 2 episodes, or possibly even the last episode, to be crammed full of all the answers for everything, or even more questions. And typically in Doctor Who, there'll be questions that we'll never know the answers to. So that's annoying. Yeah, and overall, it was okay. Very messy and just hard to process at the same time. I liked the ending with Belle and Vinder. That's really good. I like that. Obviously, that is for love, which made that line, actually gave it a bit of merit. And I liked obviously when Vinder went into the TARDIS. That was pretty cool. And I liked that the Weeping Angel got in. I like that they're doing that digitally. I like that they came up through her phone screen and came in and take control of the TARDIS. And obviously that's how we arrive at next week's episode. So yeah, overall I would give it 2.5 Cybermen out of 5. Not great, unfortunately. A big dip for me after last week, but hopefully they can make up for that next time. But we shall find out. So we'll see you in the next episode. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and I shall see you next week in the next episode.